Hey, witches!
Welcome back.
All
So,
right. Just
I
start
have
by
COVID.
prefacing that. Yeah.
Yeah, I have COVID. So, we are recording separately. And Brandy, unfortunately, has struggled with her mic for this. So, she's using a karaoke mic. And so, it's going to be a
Yeah.
little weird because I have
We're
my
going to see
setup.
how this
And
goes. If you were
hopefully,
watching the
this is the only
YouTube
time.
or if you've ever seen our YouTube, you should literally look at our YouTube because I look hilarious right now because I am literally right up on this mic like I am recording music in the studio because if I'm not,
She's
you
like,
can't hear me.
she's like making out with it.
Literally, I might have to take a picture and put it on the Instagram because this is kind of funny. Might have to be
Honestly, though,
our episode
this would
artwork
be
this time.
there you go. I like it. Anyways, so we're starting off with chapter 45. During this chapter, we are going to the Illyrian war camps, and we are
Whoop,
going to
whoop.
see where Reese, Cassia, and Azriel grew up, and how their formative years developed them into who they are today. So, right off the bat, um, this is right after Starfall, so they all stayed up until like really, really late in the night, early morning, and then they got up at like lunch, and then they left essentially. So,
Yeah, and there
yeah,
was like this all romantic moment. She's like thinking about Starfall and she's trying not to think about Rhysand or the feeling of his body pressed to hers as they dance for hours. And then she goes and ruins it all by feeling sorry for Toxic Tammy. And I'm just like, really?
oh yeah, she's like, I'm a traitor, I'm this or I'm that, and it's like, I hate the victim guilt women have or feel after a breakup, no matter what happens. Like even if it was toxic or not, and it was like the female was just like, all right, I'm ready to go to like do something different, and it's absolutely horrible what women think or feel because that's just how they're
How we've been
taught.
conditioned.
Yeah. And it's like, no, do not feel sorry if you are not feeling it. Like, you're not feeling it. You shouldn't have to ruin yourself for being in a relationship that you don't like, and you shouldn't put that on the other person. If you're not happy with them, then you shouldn't be with them.
Right? And she keeps
They
calling
shouldn't.
herself a traitor. And I'm like, girl, did he not lock you in a house like knowing your trauma?
Right?
I don't think so. No.
Right. And I think at this point, I think she's just been so gaslit and so conditioned to believe all of that. That's why she's feeling this way, but still,
Yeah.
regardless of what's happening. Um, I mean, that was my first note right off the bat.
Yeah, I
But it's
agree.
actually pretty cool because we like see a little bit more of the Illyrian war camps and like what's going on. So we learn about the Illyrian culture and how women are not very well thought of. I guess
Yeah. Or
they
treated.
yeah, they have their wings clipped at an early age. I think right as they start to bleed. I'm either getting that correct or I'm messing it up with like Moore's story about how she like stopped her period from coming, so they didn't think she was like ready to produce and be married off. But basically, they clip their wings and they make them become servants and like breeding grounds for the Illyrian men. And Cassie and Azriel and Reese are actively trying to get them to be trained and be, part of the team. They stopped the clipping in this war camp, but I think they mentioned that it's still happening amongst other places within the mountains. So
Yeah. I um feel like I commented on probably around 12 at one point. Um thoughts on our toxic masculinity.
there is a part at the end of 443 after we get told about what's happening at the war camp and like why everybody needs to be training, and the guy is Lord Devlin, and I guess he's the most he likes these three the most out of everybody. So that's why they choose to be there, even though he hates them too. Um, what is it?
Oh, I like when they on the next page they like take him down a little. Like he's like, that house is occupied by my top warrior. Nope.
And unoccupy it.
Yeah.
So there is a part too where Lord Devlin like looked at Moore, like a low snarl came from Moore, and then he looked over at her, and she like gave him a low like wicked smile, and goes, "Hello, Lord Devlin," and he gives her a once over, and I was like, Moore is such a beast that a once over is worthy of a slow death. Like the audacity he had to
Right?
do that to her.
Excuse me.
Like, how dare you treat poor Moore like that? Like, she would eat you alive, and it wouldn't be fun for you. Or cheats like Amron on you. Either way, that's terrifying. Um, yeah, Reese really puts him in his place. It's like, okay, well then get them the fuck out. That's my place. That's where I grew up. That's my mama's house. Fuck you.
Right. Oh, and then the reading about the blood right. The blood right sounds like the freaking Hunger Games.
That's what I wrote.
Oh my god.
I was like, man, this reminds me so much of the Hunger Games in a way. It's like, not like, you don't have to actively kill each other. You just have to survive to get your siphons. But people do kill each other
Right.
because of
Like
vendettas or whatever. And I'm just like, holy shit, this is the Hunger Games. Ah, good times.
the next thing I have is until page 450.
I have some on 448. So I was talking about the Spring Court. Oh, so we learned about what happened with Reese's family and the retaliation. So Reese and Tamlin were good friends once upon a time, 500 years ago, and he told Tamlin about how his mom and sister were visiting him in the Illyrian war camps and explained like where it was happening, you know, as a friend would during talks. And Tamlin ended up telling his family, and they hid in the shadows and waited for that meeting to happen. They were coming for Reese, but Reese couldn't make it, so instead of just letting it go, they ended up killing Reese's mom and sister and took their wings, which were hung up in Tamlin's manor. It wasn't there during the time that we were there, but it was there for a time. And it's like, what the that's horrible.
Right. Like, okay, so your target isn't here, so you're gonna kill
Kill
innocent
innocent
people?
people? Yeah. It's like,
Like,
yeah, like you think so lowly of women anyways, or so I think or assume. So like why bother with them? Like you're literally
right.
starting a war. And so Reese and his father was like, it's fucking on. Let's go.
Yes, and understandably so. I love how Feyre is like, he didn't tell me. Duh,
Well,
he
no
didn't tell
shit
you
he's not going to
anything.
tell you.
Well, he didn't tell you anything else. Why would he tell you that? Like,
Right. He kept secrets about anything and everything regardless of your safety. Even when it mattered the most, he still didn't tell you anything. He didn't tell you anything about his world. Like, he could have at least told you about, like, the courts or something like that. Not necessarily
anything.
Amaranth. Yeah, not necessarily Amarantha, but, like, because I know he, like, couldn't say anything, but still, could have said something. Bitch.
Yeah. But he had no respect for her. He just wanted her as his
No.
little trophy. So, blah.
Horrible.
And
Ugh.
then the last thing I
That's.
have on that chapter was just talking about how she's wanting to paint. And then Reese is
Finally.
being like nasty.
You could paint me naked.
Nude would be
is
best.
that is that in this chapter? Because I know he
Yeah,
says
it's
that
at the
quite a
end
bit.
of this chapter.
Oh, nude would be best. That's it. That's what
Yeah,
it is. Yeah.
the very end of the chapter, like the last line. I literally wrote face palm Reese.
Of course.
Oh my gosh. We have a couple of short chapters here. We might actually get through a few this time.
I know. So that was
happening.
45, 46. Um, so they're still in this, the Illyrian war camp, I believe. And she's like freezing because it's so cold. And Cassian's like, nah, they do this on purpose so that only the strong survive. And I'm like, well, warmongering people will do that. They're like the Spartans,
Right?
like wanting to be the best of the best.
Literally, I wrote reading about the Illyrians and their women makes my stomach hurt because like they talk about it more, and I'm just like,
Mm-hmm.
ugh.
Yeah. Um, so there's like a section on 453 that talked about they were like going up the stairs and Reese is like walking behind her or something, and she goes, every step upward I could feel Reese at my back, the heat of him, the ebb and flow of his power. And it's like, do you think she can actually feel the power because of how powerful he is, or because of the bond?
So I was thinking that, and I was wondering if it's because of the bond or because she has part of that power in her, and like how
Oh
she could
yeah.
feel Tarquin's power when she was close to him. Can she just feel it because of what she is?
Yeah. Oh, that's a
In
good
that
point.
same like vein, though, on the next page, um, she's talking about. There's. I'm just gonna read this paragraph. It says, because things between us had never. What was that? Did your fan just turn off or something?
Yeah. I have a
Okay, I was
very
like, something just got really quiet. Okay, anyway.
oh yeah, my bad.
It says
It's
because
warm over
things.
here.
Well, that's fair. It's actually cold here, but that's because I'm right underneath the vent.
Oh yeah, no. It's hot over here, so the air is on. And it's
Well, the
just
air's
loud.
on. It's just anyway. It says because things between us had never been normal, not from the very first moment we'd met on Callan May. I'd been unable to easily walk away from him then when I thought he was deadly and dangerous, but now, like, put it together, Feyre. Put
I
it
know.
together.
It's so frustrating to like read it and it's like really god damn it.
Yeah.
Ugh.
And then I got really confused because the last part of the chapter, it was
Of this
saying,
chapter.
yeah.
Yeah, so I have something written on the next part. So they, after that evening or whatever in the new house, they go out into the woods to practice far away so that nobody can get hurt or even just, I guess, sense them or something like that. For safety, whatever the case may be. And so she's trying to find like a good distance away from Reese to practice her fire, all of that good stuff. And it was raining, and it's cold, all that good stuff. So she's close to like a cliff, I think, and below it's like water. So in case something happens, she can easily grab water or something. And then all of a sudden, a character, a blast from the past, comes in and says, Feyre. And she freaks the fuck out and turns around, and there stands Lucian.
Well,
It's like
yes,
rude.
and
They were
and
trading.
right, and like when I first read that, I was like, "What are they in the spring port? Like, what the fuck is going on?" And then I realized, like, no, Lucian is searching for her. But like at first, when I was like saw it, I was like, "Oh, Lucian!" And then the next chapter,
Yeah, and then you're like, oh. See, when I told you, when you said Lucian's my favorite, and I was like, just wait. It gets worse. And then when he didn't stick up for her, I was like, nope, gets even worse.
hey, quick question:
Yeah.
does yours say how long we've been recording?
Yeah.
Okay, just make sure because mine doesn't say. So I was like, wait a second, mine still says record at the bottom. So I was like, what is happening?
Well, it says you're recording, so hopefully.
Yeah, it says that over on the side. So I think we're good. But I was just like, wait, I can't see the time. Anyway,
This is just
um,
an overall trial and error
yeah, bear with
episode.
us on this episode, y'all.
Damn, COVID.
Trying new things. This is a trial
I
run for when Emily needs
know.
me.
Whatever. You will have a beach house to go to whenever you want, so don't even. I know you don't like sand, I know you don't like the ocean, but at least the warmer weather is going to be there for you.
I'm glad. I love that you said that because I was about to be like, I don't like the beach.
It's still, the warm weather is still there for you 9 months out of the year.
Oh
When
my
we were there in
gosh.
March, I think the coldest it got was like 40 or 50. And I'm like walking around in like a short sleeve shirt and everyone's like bundled up. And I'm like, this is fantastic. It's
This is
like 20
wonderful.
degrees in Indiana. Yeah.
I know my
Anyways,
whenever my best friend from Texas comes up here to visit, even in like the summer, she's like, it's freezing. And I'm like, shut up.
my acting coach is from Texas and she's consistently like, why is it so cold? And then one time it was raining and it was like freezing rain and we couldn't get into the building that we were going to and we were waiting for like the director to like come let us in, the director of Civic Theater, and she's like hiding by like in between like the Civic Theater in town. There's like a step up and it's just like covered before you can actually go into the building. So she's like hiding in there away from the rain, talking about how cold it is and how she can't stand this cold. She goes, I'm from Texas. So I get it. I think it's hilarious because I walk in there like, nah, this is cool. I'm fine. Whatever.
Yeah, like it feels good in here actually. Somebody want to
Yeah.
turn on a fan?
But, anyways. Um, anyways, chapter 47, Lucian.
Sweet. Chapter 47.
Okay. So this is where I could honestly, I would not care if Lucian drops off the face of the earth. I do not like him.
Oh my
Um,
god. Like I was just like, what? I said, I'm sorry. Lucian thought she would want to come back.
yeah,
Like
he needs to like work on his wording too because he's like, we've been hunting for you for over 2 months. It's like hunting.
about
Oh,
hunting?
excuse me.
Really?
Yeah, because it's like I, if someone says hunting me, I would be like, all right, you're a little crazy, you're a
Well,
little
she even
insane,
says that. She's like, "Oh, hunting for me as if I were indeed prey."
right?
Like that's what?
It's like
Like I'm treasure that you're searching for and I'm not a human or not a human, but a being with like feelings and thoughts of my own.
right. Honestly, if I were him, I would have been like, we've been searching for you, we've been looking for you, not hunting. What the fuck, kind of. And it's
Right.
like everybody in Spring Court assumes that she's like such a good huntress, and it's like she didn't do it for fun. She did it for survival, and she doesn't
Right.
even like doing it.
Right. She doesn't like killing. She doesn't like doing these things. She
Right.
did them because she had to.
And no matter how many times she has made that comment, they just never acknowledged it or cared. And they're like, yeah, well, we're going to take you out hunting. And she's like,
I don't
seriously?
want
Like,
to
my,
go hunting.
right. Anyways,
Well, and then
um,
he says, "Let's go home." And she's like, "That stopped being my home the day you let him lock me up inside of it." And Lucian says, "It was a mistake. We all make mistakes." I'm sorry, what, motherfucker? It was a
uh,
mistake? He
locking
accidentally
her
locked me
up,
in the house?
yeah,
What?
locking her up and forcing her to do shit she doesn't want to do and feeling like she's under the mountain all over again and dealing with that trauma,
Yeah,
that's not a
fuck
mistake.
you.
Right. And how dare he call, oh my god. I get it. Like everybody to the outside realm like believes Reese to be Amarantha's whore. I mean, he even said that in the first book when Reese met Fabra for the first time, like actually got her name and all that. But like he popped out of nowhere and because Lucian can winnow, so if he touched Feyre, she'd be gone, and she struggles with winnowing anyway. So like, it's bad news bears. So she's trying to like get away, and then all of a sudden Reese pops up after she winnows away a couple of times, only a few like meters away probably, and he's just like, "What? She can do that?" It's like, no shit.
Yeah,
She's got literally all the High Lord's power in her. Of course
and
she could
she's
do that.
not with you anymore, so she's able to work on her powers and learn
Right.
what she can do.
Right? And it's like, this is what she should have been doing with you. This is what could have kept her safe. But that's
Right.
fine.
This is part of
And
why she left. But.
Right. And then all of a sudden, Lucian gets pissed off at Reese and goes, "You prick, you filthy whore and prick." And it's like, oh.
And then Pharaoh loosens a growl, and I just love that
Yeah.
because I picture you like how you said like "Rawr." Rawr. Arr.
Roaring. It's like roaring.
Ruff.
Arr.
Ruff.
You sound like a chihuahua.
That's what I pictured when I read it. Oh my god. She looks like Feral, but she's like "Ruff."
Listen, chihuahuas are bad news, man.
I'm
The smaller the
saying
dog, the
demonic
meaner
little
they are.
shit.
I didn't have a chihuahua, but I definitely had like a chihuahua sized like beagle terrier mix. And let me tell you, he was a little shit. Loved him to death. He was my first puppy. He was my first dog, but still, he was a little asshole. And his name
Yeah.
was Buddy. Like, I was like,
Okay.
Mom, I want to name him Max. Mom's like, no, he's little. He's like your little
Oh my
buddy. And I'm like,
god. Brittany's mom had this dog, and its name was Max. Um, and it hated everyone. It was so mean to everyone except for Brittany's mom and me. The first time I went over there, they were like, "This dog is evil, and it's
don't
gonna hate
talk.
you, and it's gonna growl at you, and it's gonna try to bite you." And nope. By the end of that visit, it was sitting on my lap like we were friends. So
Does that mean something? Are you demonic? Are you evil?
maybe it the evil like like to like. Anywho,
It's
but when I wrote about that, so now I'm super conscious of saying I digress. now,
no.
now I realize how much I say it. But anyway, I digress. um,
Listen, I say
Lucy,
rude so much. It's horrible.
it happens. You
Such
really do though,
slogans.
but it happens. Um, after that though, after Feyre growls, Lucian says, "What have you done, Feyre?" And I'm like, "What has she done? What has she
She's
done? Fuck you,
exactly
Lucian. Fuck you. Fuck you. What? What has
bitch.
she done? Like,
How dare you?
why are you even here, sir?
Right. No one wants you. Not
Yeah,
even your own
go
court.
away."
Not that you want to be in your own court because they're probably just as mean, but still,
Oh
damn.
my god. And then I love this part. I was so excited. So fucking excited when this happened.
What
Um
page? 460?
461.
Oh man, there's a lot of shit happening on 460, so I just
I
put, you
know.
give it to him.
Yeah, they're like fighting back and forth, fighting back and forth. And then all of a sudden Feyre's wings pop out. She has like a shapeshifter moment
No.
and she gets wings and like
Claws. Oh my god. I just love though how she finally like unleashes all her anger on him, and it really kind of helps her, I mean, morph into who she's, like her powers, because he's just like, Ianthe got out of hand, we got out of hand, this happened, and she goes, no, you gave up. Like,
yeah. And you
you
let
gave
this
up on me.
happen.
Yeah, you gave up on me. You were my friend and you picked him, picked obeying him. Even when you saw what his orders and his rules did to me, even when you saw me wasting away day by day. And it's like,
And I think she
seriously,
says later, like in a couple chapters or something, that like Cassian and Azriel and more would never let her get that way. Like if they saw her wasting away like that, they wouldn't let that happen. But Lucian did,
yeah,
and
it's the
like,
next chapter.
ugh,
I know. Yeah, because I wrote about that. But yeah, I'm just like, you know what? Good for you, Feyre. Like, finally, he deserves to hear all the shit that you've gone through from a perspective of like confidence. Because honestly, at the spring court, you, no matter what you said or did, it didn't matter. It would still be shoved right back in your face. And at least in the night court, you can say something, and people will be like, "Oh yeah, that's a good idea," or
or
go with
just
it.
they'll leave her alone if she needs to be left. Like like they just respect her.
Right. And instead of just like forcing her to do shit or forcing her to get in bed with him. Gross.
Eh,
Tamlin.
yes.
Toxic Tammy.
Toxic Tammy the tampon.
Stop.
Listen,
Anyways.
I only have one more thing about this chapter, and it was just at the end of the chapter when he's like, "You look good with wings," and kisses her on the forehead, and I'm just like, "Oh, oh,
Thanks, babe.
oh."
Not babe yet, but thanks. I'm just so happy that like her powers are coming in and she's like it's because I think what really stopped her from getting all her powers was like the like lack of confidence, the like issues that she has with her self-worth essentially.
Right, and
Um,
her trauma and her and not being able, it's like a muscle. Like if you can't exercise that muscle, then you can't, like, it goes away kind of thing.
right. It's like mental block kind of thing
Right?
in some ways.
Okay, complaint number 1 about Iris is that I can't see how long we've been recording. Are we at like, should we take a break? Or are
25.
we past that point? Okay. That was fast. We already through 3 chapters. What is happening? I have
Ugh.
great break material right now. You're gonna die, okay?
Great. Okay.
So today I get 2 packages. One of them was Poshmark. It was a pair of shoes I ordered. The other one, I had no idea what it was gonna be. I was like, "The fuck is this?" Listen, listen. I opened this package, the fucking Quran.
What?
It even had
What?
my name on it and everything. And like, I don't know where this came from. I don't know. Like, I didn't order this. Um, but like, it
Did you
comes with
check your
like
bank
this
statements?
information sheet and all these brochures about like Jesus in Islam, the status of women in Islam, Islam explained, the concept of God in Islam, the Quran, the word of God, Muhammad and the final prophet of God, like all of this shit. And I'm just like, what what is happening?
Does
Like
someone not agree with your witchy ways?
what list am I on? Like, I don't
Did you
know.
check your bank statement to make sure that
I
you've been
did.
actually.
Because I was like, what the fuck? But yeah, and like the packaging and everything had my name and address on it. And but it didn't have like it had a return address, but not like a
Like who
sender
it was from?
name.
That's weird.
Here it is. It literally has my name and address. It came from Somerset, New Jersey, but it doesn't say who sent it. And they paid like $4 to send this to me. I'm just like, what list?
$4 for you to not even use it.
Right. I'm like, what list am I on, guys? Like, I don't understand.
That's so
But
weird.
in case anybody around here wants to read the Quran or has any questions about it, I've got you. Okay? I've got one and I've got the pamphlets. It does say in the letter
You can
though
learn
that I
about women
cannot,
in Islam.
yeah. Um it it does say in this letter though that I cannot use this for solicitation. So I can't go door to door. So dang it. That's not
Yeah.
allowed. But thought that'd be a fun comedic break today cuz what the fuck?
Got a package and you didn't even know what it was. That's great.
I'm still confused about, like, literally I opened it and I was like, "Is this some kind of joke?" And Brittany kind of laughed at me and was like, "What is happening?" And then I showed her and she was like, "What the fuck?"
Who's got your address?
Yeah, well, who's got my address
Will
that would send me a Quran? Like, what?
honestly though, Will keeps buying. He's really into these. What are they? They're like not puzzles, like not like puzzle pieces, like put together puzzles, but they're like little trinkets that you have to like take apart or put back together or like solve it. And he's like been so obsessed. Because literally he'll be like, my package here, and I was like, what package? What package? Like, when did you get that? And he's like, oh, I just bought it a couple of days ago, and I was like, okay, like what is it? And he goes, oh, you'll see. And then he gets really excited, and then he opens up. He goes, I got new puzzles. And today he was like, my package is here, and I looked at him. I was like, did you buy new more puzzles? And he goes, maybe. And then he leaves to come back, and then he opens it up, and then new puzzles. And I
I
was
know.
literally
I was
talking to him, and he finished it, and I just looked at him. I was like, that took you like 2 seconds. What the hell?
I know. I got
Difficulty must be
home
different.
from the store today and there were 2 packages on the porch and I was like, "Hey, I know what the bigger one is. It's my Poshmark package, but like what is that smaller one?" And I was thinking like, "Oh, maybe it's something from like the college or maybe it's something from my new job." Nope. It's
Nope.
the Quran. So, here we
So
are.
funny.
And
Ooh,
like
that's
no
good.
disrespect, like if that's your thing, that's your thing, but like I did not ask for this.
It's just
So,
funny because you don't practice. You've never mentioned wanting to practice or do anything with that religion. You have
right.
voiced your opinions on your stance on religions and what you want to practice, and here you are receiving a Bible from a religion that has nothing to do with you. And you have no idea where it
I
came from.
know. Yeah, I'm super
That's so
confused,
funny.
but you know, it's fine.
That's so funny. Oh
Anyway,
my god.
have the children of the black talking about what?
What? You went away from your mic. Can't hear you.
Uh-oh.
You gotta like mouth it, remember?
Oh, I do remember it. I forgot. I gotta make out with my anyway. um, I said it's the children of the blessed sending me shit.
Those bastards. Get the back over there. You're supposed to be on the human realm side. It's dangerous.
Ah!
Anyways, chapter chapter 48. Okay, so after this, they went to a nearby, not a nearby inn, but they went to an inn, and it gets hot and heavy. Um, ooh. But before all of that, it's raining, it's gross. They're like cold and wet and icy because of how cold it is. And they go into this inn, and this inn is like ruckus city. And it's just it's not a place you would like typically would like to be safety wise, um,
Like
or
the
a
in
house.
Untangled, the little
Yeah,
duckling or whatever.
yeah. Honestly, though, and that's coming from like somebody from an outside perspective. It's probably just like the ugly duckling. Like they're all super nice, and they have dreams, and this is where they're stuck. And I think it's funny. Anyways,
I have
um,
a dream.
so Gunther does interior design.
Oh my god.
Oh
Anyway.
man. Uh, so I don't have anything till
Okay.
467
I have something else.
because
466. I love when they're talking about it and he's like, I love it when you look at me like that. And she's like what? And he goes, like, my power isn't something to run from, like you see me. And I'm just like, uh, yes, I love that.
yeah, I'm a human being and I don't run for you. Um, I basically put
I don't run for
on the next,
anybody. Let's just be clear.
just like, is it my time to go? It's my time to go. Uh, I saunter away and hope for the best. That's why I want to be a Disney villain because you never see them running. You or villain in general, you always see them walking everywhere.
Or
And because I
flying.
don't run. Ooh, yeah. Um, so on 467, they're what is it? Whew. I've been like chucking so much liquid, I'm like burpy. Um, so she's like reminiscing about what had happened earlier that day. So like Tamlin thinks this is good for her well being, and and Lucian was ready to take her against her will. So then she's like, Fey males were territorial, dominant, arrogant, but the ones in the spring court, something had festered in their training because I knew deep in my bones that Cassian might push and test my limits. But the moment I said no, he'd back off. And I knew that if I had been wasting away and Reese had done nothing to stop it, Cassian or Azriel would have pulled me out. They would have taken me somewhere, wherever I needed to be, and dealt with Reese later. And it's like, I really like that she can trust Cassian and Azriel so short into their like friendship or relationship, and how she can even trust more Amryn to help her out because they both keep Reese on his toes no matter what.
Yeah, and they treat her like her own being, not like a
Like a
trophy on a shelf.
family.
Like, and they
Yeah.
don't, and they challenge Reese. Like,
Yeah.
Reese treats them more as equals than as his underlings. And Toxic Tammy and his
Right, because it's like
gremlins.
it's a court. They come together and they discuss what needs to be done and what's best for the territory in and of itself, and then they it's kind of like a democracy in a way,
And they call
a
each
better
other
one.
family. Like, they're able to
Yeah,
challenge each other. And it's a much
they're besties.
more welcoming environment than the spring court.
Yes, 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 yes. Um,
Also on page 467, I wrote down the quote. Um, Amarantha had broken us both, or broken me, so that who he was and what I now was no longer fit. And I love that because, like, she did love Tamlin, or at least she thought she did. And, like, Tamlin didn't love her, obviously, because what a piece of shit. But, like, who I think that's absolutely accurate. Like, she changed so much and grew so much that they couldn't fit together anymore because she wasn't
right.
willing to be a doll on a shelf.
But on the other hand, I also so I wrote something about this too. I don't think it's fair to blame Amarantha for breaking them or for anything. I think she helped start the end of their relationship because of that growth that
Agree.
that she had to go through. I mean, it was the life or death situation. She was put right back into, if I don't do this correctly, I'm going to die. And so that trauma from experiencing all of that, just, well, Tamlin's on his fucking throne, not giving a shit.
Yeah, well, and then had had all of that happened, and then they went back to the spring court, and Tamlin tried to help her get through it or help her through her trauma instead of putting her up on a shelf like a pretty
Be
princess doll.
supportive.
Like, right. Like, so Amarantha may have started it all in motion by giving her the trauma, but Tamlin is the one that, like, made it worse and reactivated her trauma.
Yeah, agreed. Um, but yeah, I mean, that was. But I'm glad that she's kind of accepting it because she's like, I could let that go. I could accept that. Maybe it would be hard for a while, but maybe it'd get better.
Yeah.
So she's understanding that what had happened between them is done and over with. She's accepting that fate at this point.
Okay. So the
So,
next thing I have is at the end of page 469.
I have something there too.
That last sentence, she asks, like, um, so they're talking about, like, if Feyre had decided to go away with Lucian, and Reese is like, then I would find a way to live with it. It would be your choice. And then she says, and if he grabbed me, so like if Lucian forced her, and Reese says, then I would have torn apart the world to get you back. And I'm just like, swoon. Like, uh
Aw,
but
how
like she still
cute.
doesn't get it. And I'm just like,
I know.
bitch, are you
Like,
that clueless?
she'd sit there and be like, "Well, is it because I'm such a trophy for his court?" And I'm like, "Damn it,
Is
Tamlin.
it because
She
he
doesn't even know
needs
what love
me
is."
to
Yeah, to
uh
do the book because of who I am. No, Amryn can do that. That's fine. He don't need
right.
you.
They really don't need
um,
you.
yeah. Um, I basically wrote after that, like I'm sure Tamlin would have had a war on his hands if Lucian stole her. Like she's a part of another court now. She has willingly accepted that role. And because of that, and because he necessarily didn't steal her, they followed the rules appropriately. Moore made sure that happened, so there definitely would have been another war on their hands.
Yeah.
And then it gets to the good stuff. So this is where it starts getting spicy.
Oh,
Um,
spicy.
oops. Um, so they have to warm each other. They can't use magic. Reese can't use magic, and it's very dangerous for her to use magic because she's still training. And because he used magic, they were able to find him last time. So they they have to heat each other up under the blankets
With
together.
body heat.
Ooh. Um, and they're just kind of talking at first, just like making sure everybody's warm, and like he's using his wings to like keep the warmth in. And she's shaking so much the bed was shaking. And she blamed because her hair was wet. And you know, honestly, like that's a believable lie because women when their hair is wet and it's cold, it's like you cannot get warm to save your fucking life.
Right?
But it's just funny because she's just like, my hair's wet.
Hmm.
Someone's nervous.
Oh my god.
um, but it's funny because then she starts touching his wings, and last we knew, like if you touch the wings, it could come to completion. And he's like shuddering, and he's like, "Your hands are cold." It's
Yeah,
like
and it's just like
sensitive babies you are.
that's what she says, and I'm just like, he did tell you that like they could get all the way just by touching their wings. So I don't
So like back off.
right.
And it's funny because it's like he's like kind of starting to call her out. It's like you're greedy. First you want this, and now wait, what do you want, Feyre? And
What do you
she's like,
want?
what do you want? It's not that simple.
What do you want?
Oh, The Notebook. What a classic love story. So she's he's like she's not answering, so he's like trying to tease her to get it out of her, and then she's just like blurts out, I want a distraction. And you know, that's okay. You want a distraction. That's fine. I mean, after everything that you're happening and your brain is telling you one thing, like you're a traitor and you're almost stolen back to the court that almost essentially killed you, like yeah, I would want a fucking distraction too. Like my brain would be on absolute high speed of thoughts. And
But also, fuck that, Feyre. Like, tell him the truth. Like, why
like
are you
I get it.
lying right now?
Right. Like if that was legitimately your answer, like yeah, that's cool, but you're just saying that because you're afraid of rejection, and it's like,
Yes, and
listen, Moore
no.
is well aware that Azriel like loves her, but she still deals with it every day. Like you can be a big girl and deal with it.
Right. Ugh.
Anyways, so they start making out and they start doing dirty stuff, and he starts talking about her boobs and how much he loves them. And she starts remembering like what he said, like I can't breathe when I look at you, let me touch you because I was jealous and pissed off, she's mine, blah 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 kind of stuff. And then she's just like, do it. Please. So yeah.
I literally just wrote finally, just finally. Like,
Yeah. um so they basically, he starts fingering her, like I'm just gonna say it, starts fingering her, and she like, you know, crumbles as one does at the end of everything.
I
And
really would.
and then he's like, at the very end of it, he goes, I wanted to do that when I felt how drenched you were at the Court of Nightmares. I wanted to have you right then and there.
But they were in the middle of a bunch of people, so maybe no.
Right. And then he was like, but mostly I just wanted to do this. And then he just like licks his fingers right after it. It's like, whoa. Whoa.
Oh. Well,
And
okay then.
then, yeah. And then she's like, I was going to eat him alive. So I started sliding my hand down. And instead of like actively going through with it, he grabbed her and was like, when you lick me, I want to be alone, far away from everyone, because when you lick me, Feyre, like, I'm going to let myself roar loud enough to bring down a mountain. And let me tell you, as soon as I read that, I lost it. I started laughing. I was like, the least sexy thing to say during that moment is roar because of the early 2000s rar.
I knew you were gonna say that. Also, can we talk about how much SJM says roar? Like,
I
roar
know.
is a big thing. She says
And I
roar
get it.
all
It's
the
like,
time. Like, we've talked about this multiple. This is not the first time we've had this conversation. That tells you how
yeah.
many times she says roar.
And
And
it's
it's not always in a
it's just a
sexy
pet peeve of
context.
me.
Yeah.
Right. And it's like I feel like if you I feel like if you say it in real life, there's a select few people who would enjoy that. And then there's a select few people who also went through that lifetime of RAR being their tagline on MSN, AOL, Yahoo, whatever, man, MySpace, and they'd be like, ugh, cringe. I didn't actually do
It's
that. I thought it was
so
cringy to begin with. I thought it was stupid.
ugly dinosaur.
I hate that I hate that talk that they always did like when they would talk or like when they would during that time like that specific like I don't want to call it a language, but it was like slang language of and I hated it.
Yeah. No,
I tried to do it and I
I
was like
hear
I
that.
can't get behind it. I can't do it. Um so and then he like brings it back up and he talks about like where he wants to do it, how he wants to do it, all that kind of stuff. And then she's just like starting to melt. And then he's like, "All right, sleep."
Right?
And
Like,
puts her to
bitch,
sleep.
what? Okay.
He's like, "All right, you had your fun. Bye. Good night." But man, let me tell you, I get like really, really like I really enjoy these scenes, and then all of a sudden roar comes, and then I'm just like, all right, I'm done. I'm out.
You're like, God damn
Peace out.
it.
Yeah. But then, then she goes to sleep, and we wake up the next morning,
Yes.
and then
And I have a lot for chapter 40.
I don't actually. I only have a little bit.
I have, let's see here.
But
Sorry,
right
I
off the
gotta
bat,
look.
I
Give me a
put.
little bit.
No, you're good. Right off the bat, I have some for 477.
Yeah, I just said, Jesus Christ, Farrah, he
Um,
loves you. Open your eyes. Like, what the fuck?
right. Well, I put because it's like she's like, well, why did you make that bargain with me? Like, why demand a week from me every month? And he goes, because I wanted to make a statement to Amarantha because I wanted to piss off Tamlin. I needed to keep you alive in a way that that wouldn't be seen as merciful. Oh, you know, I would do anything. Like, there's nothing I wouldn't do to for my family and my people. And it's like he's said this time and time again. And her response in her mind is, "So I was just a pawn in that game." And it's like, why do you take everything so personal?
For
Like,
real.
I'm I'm that person that like if I get a bad impression of you, then it's going to be really really difficult to change that. And that's just because like I was taught first impressions are everything. So it's a toxic trait that is being broken down daily, but like they're not always accurate. Sometimes you might meet somebody who's like super this is who I am and that will never change, and then you're going to meet people who are like super shy. This is how I am at first, but like wait until you get to know me. And that's different. So I everything's just so personal for her and it's annoying.
Yeah. Ugh.
Ugh.
Um, so then they go to train some more, right? Like, they're in another clearing and they're out there. She's playing with her powers.
Yeah, and then they
Um,
fly because they're heading back to the Illyrian camp, I think, or something. Either they're getting farther away from where they were, or they are heading back after training, something like that.
yeah, I think they're heading back after they were done training. And he's like, "There's one more story I need to tell you." Um, and she's like, "I won't. I don't walk away, not from you." And then, like, right as he's getting ready to tell her the story, a bunch of ash arrows with poison on them through his wings. So they're falling, and then
And he roared in pain.
rawr! I can't do it.
I I just feel like there's so many other words you could use for these different contexts than roar, but that's personal
Yes.
preference.
Yeah.
On page 481,
And
she touched
yes.
like the ash arrow. There's a delay. Oh my god.
That was happening earlier to you. I don't know what's going on.
Um, our interneter is in and out.
Oh, well,
Not in and
it
out, but
happens.
like it goes green to yellow to red to green, all that. Um, she touches the ash arrows too, especially like to get them out. Cause like she falls from the sky, Reese falls. She somehow uses wind power or whatever to create like a barrier stopping herself from landing hard or hurting herself. And then she follows Reese's blood to where he's going to be, and then it like breaks off. And so she's trying to figure out the best way to do it. And then she just smells her in the air because the essence of her is on his hands from last
Gross.
night. So she's just like, there's I, there I am. And she's
Because
like,
they like
found
so
him.
for context, for people that are like, "What the fuck are you talking about?" She's following them, and this group of like people who shot them down separate, and half of them take Reese's clothes, and half of them take Reese because they know she's gonna track them by scent, right? So she figures out which ones to follow because she can smell the scent of herself on Reese's fingers. Because they didn't bathe after they left the hotel or the inn or whatever, they just left. So that's how she finds them. And then she kicks ass like the badass that she is.
Oh my god, yes. She literally takes down all these people who we find out are people from Hybrid. But like she takes
Yes.
them all down, and then she sees Reese like held up by chains with ash arrows in only his wings, and she's just like, "Oh my god." So she helps him down, gets him all of that, and like tries to help him. And when she touches the ash arrow, she like kind of, I don't want to say quivers, but like she made a comment about how it like felt weird. I don't know. Um I don't know. It was like every time she like touched the ash arrow, it like tingled, I think maybe. I don't know. But it's like, does it hurt to touch, or is it only if
Right.
it's like pierced through you? See, I don't understand that. I feel
I
like it
think
would
it
hurt to
only
touch
hurt
because like
like
if
if it actually went through them, and it like hurt just like a regular arrow, but it only like what it did was stop them from being able to heal, right?
yeah, because like the ash tree or something like that. I don't know. But I also wondered if it was just because like you're being in like the presence of it, like how it was with the book. Like
Right.
maybe it quit, like she like
Can feel
feels
the power
tingling
or
or
something.
whatever because of all the high lords in her or something. That sounded weird. Um,
It's
only
like the
two.
harem, like like reverse harem. There's like all these high lords and Sarah.
Listen, that's a huge game market, okay? Like I get it.
Oh
But
my
what's really
god.
weird is in those games you could be like a female and you could like be with a female and you could still have babies and it's like where'd this baby come from?
You're like, what?
Yeah. Like I
Somebody
played that game before and I
self-related
was
to
like twin
do.
after twin after twin. But anyways, yeah.
Um, yeah. So, and then she's like telling him stories about herself, and she's telling him about how she painted the dresser in their house while she's taking the ash arrows out of his
And then
wings. Like,
he's like, "Huh?" Like cuz she's describing what she wrote for each sister. So like it was like fire for
Nesta.
Nesta. It was like flowers for Elaine, and then she's like the stars or the moon for her, and he's just like, "Huh?
Right? Like,
It was you
what?
all along?"
So I just realized that I don't
Which
actually have a whole lot for this chapter. I just wrote down an entire fucking quote out of the book. So, so yeah, on page 488.
but when she talks about that though, that's like foreshadowing into like the future chapters.
Uh-oh.
Like his realization on something.
Mm,
It's
oh no.
chapter 54, I believe. because
I'm
it's
not that
so
far
damn
yet.
good.
I've only read through 52. But on page 488 in this chapter, there's a quote and it says, I would be quiet and enduring and as faceted as the night, that I would have beauty for those who knew where to look. And if people didn't bother to look and only to fear it, then I didn't particularly care for them anyway. And I'm just like, wow, that is like,
Profound.
well, and like, I feel like who hasn't lived that? Like, if you've lived through caring what everybody thinks and trying to fit in and then grown into this person who like just doesn't give a fuck anymore, like, some people have. um, like I feel like that's such a big thing. And it reminds me too of that Dr. Seuss quote. It's like people who mind don't matter and people who matter don't mind.
Oh, yeah.
It reminds me of that a little bit. Anyway, I really, really liked it. Like liked it so much that instead of just writing down the page number, I literally wrote the entire quote out in my journal. The
It's
whole
so
thing.
good. Like the whole thing that she's just talking during that part is just like so profound because it's just like I don't know why I was like so drawn to the stars and the moon, but I was, and that's what I drew for me. And he's like, she's
He's like,
like,
maybe it's
I
because you're my
wonder,
mate, bitch.
right? And she's like, I wonder if some part of me knew what was waiting for me, that I would never be a gentle grower. And it's like the bond from way before anything settled in. That's also a foreshadow into next chapter.
Yes.
Oh,
And then the last thing I
insane.
wrote for this chapter was just fucking Hybern, because at the end of the chapter we find out
Oh,
that it
yeah,
was
they did it.
Hybern. Because at first, like, we didn't know, and I was like, was this Tamlin? Like, she's gonna fucking kill him, and if she doesn't, Amryn, Moore, Cassian, and Azrael are gonna fucking raise the entire spring court. Like, it's gonna be fire.
Yes. Oh god. And that'd be kind of cool though if like Hybern wasn't an issue and it was them. That'd be kind of cool to see. That would be a damn good battle.
And it would be a lot simpler.
Yeah, it gets really complicated soon. Like literally after I think chapter 54, it gets super complicated. Um,
Cool.
yep. Real quickly, we should do chapter 50.
Yes. I don't have much for chapter 50, except for
Same.
the very first thing I wrote was fuck the poison. Because she like rips all these arrows out of him, but doesn't do anything for the poison. So like, hello, he's
Right.
still in pain and like not healing.
But she decides to go visit the Surreal, and that was
I
super smart,
know.
quick thinking.
Yeah, it was. I used a
And at
lot of
least she's not
exclamation
human.
points.
Yeah.
Right.
And at least she's not human this time around. So, like, she has a fighting chance. Better fighting chance, I should say. I mean, she was fine last time, but she has a better fighting chance this time.
Yeah, and I kind of think the cereal is kind of on her side. Like it kind of likes her
Yeah.
or respects
Yeah,
her at
they
least.
do they
Like,
do they do develop a like relationship of sort.
yeah.
And I mean,
And
obviously
so like,
after this last one.
so then like the cereal tells her that like it's her blood. He just needs to drink her blood and get the healing powers from whatever court. Um, and then it's some plant that he needs to chew on, and it's like so simple. And then he's like, "Oh, by the way, something, something, your mate." And she's like,
Yeah.
"Excuse me,
What?
the fuck did you just say? What? What?"
Yeah, it's like what was it specifically? Oh, if you wish to speed your mate's healing.
Huh?
Yeah. What? What'd you say? Oh, you don't know.
And then she's
And
pissed.
then, yeah, so mad, so angry.
And
And,
I'm just like, I just want to know, like, if he had told her, would she have believed him or would she have thought he was just trying to control her? Like, I don't feel like she would have believed him.
yeah, or like get into her pants or something like that because it's like
Right. I
that's what
don't
they
think she
think.
would have believed him if he told her the truth. Like,
And I think honestly, if anything, he was probably waiting for it to like click for her.
right.
Because like it snapped for him. Like he kind of had like an idea prior to Amarantha when she goes back to talk to him. So after he's like healing, he's alive and awake, she like talks about it. Um, Also, side note, Serial did confirm everyone's comments throughout the book about Reese being the most powerful High Lord. Like, it was always a comment made by like Reese or what like Feyre assumed, him being like the most powerful High Lord, and but the serial legitimately now has stated it, so it's fact.
Confirmed.
But when she goes back and talks to him, she's like getting livid and yells at him and like you
Being a
promised you
little
wouldn't.
bitch is what she's being.
Honestly, it's like she's like you promised you wouldn't lie to me. And it's like he didn't lie to you. He just didn't say it.
Right.
And it's just
And
like I hate how pissed off you are.
right, like get over yourself. And like it's not all about you. Like he has trauma too. He's had to face rejection. He had to be Amaranth's whore. Like he doesn't
Right.
want to tell you this for you to reject him or for you to try to take advantage of it. Like he has to trust you too. And you're being a fucking
Yeah.
child, Farah.
Well, and here's the thing. It's the reason why he doesn't date or have anybody around him, like we talked about this in previous chapters, is because he will consistently have a target on his back and he does not want to do that to others. He does not want to bring that sort of lifestyle to another woman unless they are a-okay with it and all of that. So like and
Right.
she's consistently sat there and was like, ooh.
Well, and I just like she just told him, "I don't walk away, not from you." And now
And
the
she fucking
first
did.
little sign of like frustration, what the fuck she do? She walks away. Take me back. She's acting like
Right.
a fucking child
And what
instead
really
of
pisses me
working
off,
through it like a grown up.
yeah. What really like I think if I was in this situation, I would be more pissed off that the friends know before I did. Like if you didn't want to tell anybody or keep it a secret, don't tell anybody. Let them
Right.
like it's okay if Azriel or Cassian suspects. It's okay if Amryn or Moore suspects. Hell, if Amryn knew, like, you know what, she's eons old, like that's fine. She's smart. That's okay. But like, really? If it's supposed to
Yeah.
be a secret and you don't want to tell anybody, especially the person who's the mate, like then I'd be like,
Just keep
I don't
it to
know.
yourself
I'd be more
then.
upset. Right. I'd be more upset that the friends knew before I did.
That's fair. But even
Like,
then, I feel like
if it's supposed to
you
be a
don't
secret,
walk away. You stay and you discuss
yeah,
it and you talk it out. Like the
right.
walking
Like I
away is
wouldn't
what
be
got
like,
me. I was like, "Fuck you, Farah."
right. Like I
Especially
wouldn't be
because she
pissed off
literally
like
just
that.
said that.
Right. Yeah, I wouldn't walk away, but I would definitely be like, what the fuck? Why did they know? Like why did you tell them?
Right, like, excuse me. But that's all I
But
had for chapter 50.
same.
But we
That's
just
all I
got
had.
through like 6 chapters. Go us.
Yay!
Whoop whoop.
I'm so proud.
Yay. Anyway,
Ugh.
hopefully tomorrow my new cord will be here and I'll be able to get my mic working so the sound quality will be back to quality.
And I don't have to quarantine. Technically, I don't have to quarantine. I was done quarantining yesterday, but
Playing it
safety.
safe because I start a new job soon.
Yeah, you start a new job soon, and you're going to Chicago this weekend.
Next weekend.
Oh, it got moved.
Yeah, we were going to be going this weekend, but then, the person I was going with also has COVID.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody's got COVID.
I know. I texted. So I was hanging out with a student this past week who her paraprofessional has COVID, and I texted that para, and I was like, "I have COVID," and she's like, "No," and I'm like, "I know." I'm like, "I don't know who the carrier is, but someone's got to go." And I mean, it doesn't matter. I don't work there anymore. My last day was Tuesday, so
Mine too.
yay! Brighter horizons on the Lily. Do
Horizon.
not jump over here. Yeah. No, Lily, go away.
Finally.
She's like, "Oh, hello, mom. You're on the computer. Let's check it out."
Yeah, I had to shut the
Anyways,
door because otherwise chaos would have been walking all over and batting my microphone and all of
yeah.
that. So,
I am out in the living room. So that's not get your tail out of my face. Anyways, until next
All right.
time.
See you, witches. Bye
Bye.
bye.